Good morning, traders. Welcome to the daily webinar. Let's start. This one is going to be out on YouTube as the weekly outlook. We'll try to get it as fast as possible out there. And I would like all of you guys within the first 2 hours to go and run it. Even if you're live here, run it to the end. Leave a comment, leave a message, click the like, share it somewhere. I normally share it in Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. You can do the same, or you can, go on those places and also share that one, which would help. Because any amount of sharing, the search engine is going to see it as useful, and that means it's going to share it to more people. Okay, let's go. Let's start. So we're going to start in dollar index. Today we're starting new, so I'll remove all of this. I should have done that before, but guess what? Having some difficulties this morning to log on. So I'm going to do this really quick as we go. I'll do the rest when we come to them. Dollar index, we broke down. Remember what we were saying last week, regardless of what you think of what this pattern is or how we looked at it, it's going to drop. Now, it's dropping really, really slow, right? It's coming down really slow. When it comes down that slow, you're thinking 2 things. Always think. When you see the momentum is dying up, you're always thinking 2 things. Okay, is there something in the past we can match it with? Could we come back here for whatever reason and assume this is still a running flat? And which means we can still make a new high. I think we can all agree that that looks like a running flat, right? It could be a running flat. Now, these 2 could be separate ones of their own, because this has a correction here, and you could always go back to making this one an expanding flat, right? Both of those options exist, which means we're not sure whether it is the running flat, but we are aware that we've seen patterns like that. So as you trade this downwards, you're going to be very cautious now. Now that we've broken the low of the correction, which is this one here, we're going to be very cautious, especially if it's not dropping really fast, right? So when you have another running flat in here, I think we can make an argument that that is a running flat there. We're going to break the low, but this is also going down really, really slow. So at any point we get a turn with a flag, we're going to be buying, assuming that that's a running flat in the past. Now, I always say we're going to assume it's a running flat because we'll only confirm that running flat when it breaks the top. And we don't know that it's a running flat because remember, we also assume that this could be the turning point where we drop totally because this is a yearly, monthly high. So those are the 2 conflicting information. You know that this thing is going to drop eventually because it's at that level from where any point in time it can drop. But never assume that this is the drop. Right? If you're a trader and you understand wave analysis, you should never make that conclusion that this is the drop. You always have to say, well, there is a possibility. And especially if there is that possibility that it can go up 1 more. Keep that in mind. That doesn't influence how you trade. That influences how you manage the trades you take. Because how you trade will depend on the setups you have for the day. The rest of it is how do you manage the trades when you know that the possibility of it going back up, right? Because if you get a trade that is not going and you think it can go back up, you're going to close that trade. You're going to move the stops. You're going to try to be very, very cautious with that trade. But if there wasn't that running flat there hanging and we know it's going to drop, we'll be a little more relaxed and said, okay, give it some more space, let it consolidate a little more. We might still manage the trade by closing and re-entering. But, you might, if you want to keep it and put it break even, you might want to do that as well. Right, so there are many different psychological ways of how you would handle a trade when when the knowledge is there, what it can do. Now, we're coming down really slow, and I really don't like that we're coming in so slow, especially even this one is not dropping, which means we still take the sell. I still think we're going to break this low. So now 1 hour, that is a sell setup. You can put an entry here for a sell. As soon as you break that low, you watch it to see if it starts to drop or if it starts to slow down. And that is how you can manage it. So as of today, as of now, I would go with a sell setup. I think this might even be a separate series of things because this one looks like a separate consolidation of its own. This whole piece here looks like a separate consolidation of its own, right? I will go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe like that. You can put it like this if you want, right? It looks like a separate consolidation. This looks like a separate one, and I think this looks like it, which means we're making a lot of flats and flags going down that, it's not looking very impulsive downwards. So it's telling me that at some point, either this thing really drop fast or it's going to turn, right? Most likely the turn is the one I'm looking for. Let's keep an eye on it. Silver went up some more. Again, remember this deep pullback is what we knew we were going to get the upside, but we were aware that, this deep pullback means normally they make it flat. Here's the thing, any consolidation here is a buy, regardless. So we've got a consolidation. We had a small one here and you got another small. I don't think it's a running flat. These are separate consolidations. So you can look for a buy setup to break that up. Can we get it earlier? We don't have to wait for this thing to, Nope, you don't have an earlier test because you want this. See this here? You want this to come back and break that low. And then we'll put an entry order above this one for the upside. Can we sell this to the downside? If you think that there's going to be a deep correction, you can go with it. So what we can do is look at this. Let me show you. You see one up, down, and one up, especially if it comes back to this level here. Right? If this comes back to that level, what you can do is put an entry order under the low for the drop. Now, remember, we're going up, right? The big picture is up. Why would you want to take a trade like that if the big picture is up? Well, we don't know how deep they consolidate into this move. We don't know whether they do this and then go up, or what if they come back all the way to the bottom? What if they still break the low? Remember, this deep pullback was giving us that warning that that is possible. Then you got another correction here, then you got another correction here, and then this went up. So I think this sell there for a deeper correction is worth it, right? We can take it as a trade and we'll manage it. So I'll put the entry order here. If you look at it, we went sideways 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. I needed to come back and retest on the 15-day stop. Now, not necessarily that they will do that, but I'll put the line here so you see, right? That is this first impulse up, down, and that impulse up. That will be the perfect. So you can still put the entry here. Right? Would be perfect if they go tag that up first. Can we buy it here? Not as yet. Remember when they tag this stop here, when we tag this stop, we'd want to see them come back here, drop, and then go back up. Now you have a buy setup. What happens if you put an entry here? It could do like what this does. You might be lucky to get break even out of it, but there's a chance that if we're making small corrections like this and going up, we're going to tag it up and drop again. This will become a channel or a running flat. Now, I don't think this is a running flat because this one is sharp. So I'll go with channel. So buying above the top, there's a bad idea right now. When you start a channel like that with divergence in play, buying above the top is a bad idea. So the sell is a better idea. Now, it doesn't have to tag the top. What if it's a contracting flat? So we will put this as a sell. Now, here I have to make a pause to explain to those traders who are not in my group and who are not wave analysis traders, right? Everything I just said might be a little confusing to you. I know my traders are looking and said, nope, nothing confusing there. Literally got everything he explained, including for the downside and the upside. Anybody who does not believe in wave analysis, doesn't understand it, or doesn't know how it works, would say, well, you just said it could drop, you just said it could go up, right? And if you're saying that, you're just guessing your way. What I'm saying is that if it's going to go up, then you're going to do X, Y, Z. If it's going to drop, you're going to do X, Y, Z. The reason why we think it's going to drop is because of this. And if that happens, this is what we do. That's why we're selling it. The reason why it could go up is this. And if it goes up, it's limited. This is what we think it's going to do. That's why we're not buying it. See? So remember, we don't tell the market what to do. We're not the lead wavers. We don't determine, hey, you make a flat here, it has to go up, make a next wave, and we don't do that stuff. We look at patterns and we determine how these patterns could behave. And if we think they can behave more than one ways, then we assume what we will do in any given situation. And we need to know all the given situations. So the explanation for each given situation of what it can do is here. And that's why we learn wave analysis, because we know the past and we understand how they behave. So let's go. We're looking for a sell here. And then we're going to manage the trade. Even if it goes tag us, we still have to manage that trade because there's no guarantee that it's going to fall. It could come here, tag you here, and go back up. Now we'll be interested in a buy, right? Once it breaks this low and start to go back up, we would decide to manage the sell and then go in for the buy. If it just make a sideways and keep going, great. We're in that trade for a longer period of time. I think most likely downside. Let's go. Gold, 1 hour. Isn't this one amazing? Right? So we took this buy, you closed it, you took this buy. Those were 2 buy setups, right? You always close when you get this. It went up, it pulled back. We put an entry above the top. Some of you might have got a little more aggressive if you did. You get aggressive, you got to break even. Here's the thing, we've got another buy setup here. That is a buy setup. And you can literally put that entry order here. So if I have to ask the question, what is wrong with that entry right there? All my traders will tell me immediately why that entry is really, really dangerous. Right? And here's the problem. When you get this in the middle of this, you have to ask yourself, why the hell is this consolidating in the middle of a consolidation? Normally that happens when you're going to have a bigger consolidation, which means you're going to get this come up here, come back here, and then go, making a bigger flat here. Now the question is, how far would this go before that happens? Sometimes it will just break the top, that is breaking this top, and then go. Sometimes it will go here, do this, do this, do this, and then somewhere in the future we get this. So for you, if you know that, you have to decide, do I want to take the buy? I think let's take it. Let's take the chance. We're buying this one, we're buying this one, we're buying this one. Let's buy it again. We can manage ourselves out of this. Keep a stop under the impulse. Keep a stop under this one. Because if it does this and come back, it is likely going to come back very slow like this, or it could come back really fast and then go. It's likely going to be a running flat. If it is not, at some point on the pullback, you might get flagged. You're going to exit that trade. What if it becomes a long drawn out running flat? Then good for us. That's a trade we want, right? So let's see. I think we're going to get a more of a bigger flat there and then a continuation. But we can take the buy, so we're going to put this as a buy. And if you're confused as to why we're selling silver, buying gold, each has separate patterns. See, this one is a flag for upside. You don't have the same thing here. You have a flag for downside here. This flag is much smaller than this one. So I wouldn't be surprised if first they go up, which means first this one goes up, break that up, and then they both drop. Again, depending on how high this goes. If this goes way above the top there or way to the top there, especially if this comes back here, then we're pulling that sell because it's just gonna come here and then continue to go up. Right? That is something I didn't tell you previously, but my traders know the rules to that. That's why I probably forget to mention it. So let's go. Euro. Yes, we took the trade, we closed it for break even, and we put the entry above the top, and then it dropped here, but that didn't, that didn't go anywhere. Take this off. It's kind of like consolidating in here. Can we go for a running flat? I think we can make an argument for a running flat here. But then why the hell do you need a running flat in the middle of this, again, in the middle of this? Which means I think we're still in the consolidation. Take the buy off. Not that I think it's going to fall, but I think you're going to have a bigger consolidation. So let's take that off. Now I'm going to put an entry order where the high is. We're no longer dropping. This is the top, but I don't think we're going down. I'll take this off. This is irrelevant to what we're doing right now. This is what we have, right? So you have a move up, and you're getting some weird consolidation in here. Go back to the top there. Come back down here. Do this again. Come back here. And then all of this would be ready to go. That's how I see it. Now, can it take off like a rocket? Well, then it has to first take off, break the top, consolidate above the top, and then we'll consider it for a buy. Although we have a buy setup here, I don't think it's worth buying here, right? There is a buy setup here. I think we can all see that there's a buy setup here. I don't think it's worth buying. Let it break the top. Because once it breaks that up, I'm looking at this as a flat in the middle for a 1, 2, 3. And then come back here for this 1, 2, 3. Come back down for a 1, 2, 3, a 1, a 2, and a 3. And then by then, we probably will be ready to go. So let's see. We don't have a buy setup. We don't have a sell setup. I'll leave it alone. Let it break the top. Then we look for the sell. Pong. It's going up pretty slow. We've got a really sharp pullback here. And we're consolidating that. I think again we're making another flat. So we see gold, silver, and euro making flats that are there still in on the bigger structure. This is a smaller level flat. What's wrong with this drawing tool? Yeah, this is a smaller level flat. This is a running flat that will probably still go up, but maybe just slightly break that top, come back here, give us a running flat, and go one more. So how far I think this can go? I don't know. It's going really slow. It did break out of the structure, but break out by itself doesn't mean anything. We know that. It could break out and come right back in. it's going up really, really slow. And that is the problem. The slowness with which it's going. If you buy, you have to be cautious. I don't think we should buy this. If you want to buy this, it's pretty much like the euro, right? And this, like the gold, sorry. And this one doesn't necessarily have to break it up, right? This could just do this and come right back down. It could stay here for a longer time, right? Keep doing this, then do this, and then go up. How it's going to be here, we don't know. But because of this sharp move down, I think we should be very cautious about trying to buy inside here. So we're going to skip that buy and we're going to monitor the trade. If you want to buy it, you have to buy it in a much lower time frame. And I mean, really, really, really cautious, right? Because you can see that you've got this and you're getting this. Let it break out and let it drop. And now we look for the upside. Aussie. Yep, this would have been a buy setup. So it came a little lower than we expected, but it gave us the running flat. See, magic works. We had this, it was coming down. I said, let it come here. Well, this one you can buy. Actually, this is a good buy, regardless of what, because this is a completion of a pattern. An entry order above the top would have been a great idea. I don't know if any one of you bought it there. That's a really good idea if you did. If not, wait for a little pullback. Now it could still be a running flat here, right? Do you see this piece? This is sharp. This is not that sharp. It didn't come back that much unless we go with this. But this could still come here, go there, come back here, finish. This is a bigger one, then go. Keep a stop under the low. You can buy anywhere, especially in a pullback would be a good buy. I'll probably let this pull back and then buy. All right, so I'll put it as a buy setup, not a buy, but a buy setup, which means you're waiting for it to pull back a little, then buy. This complete the running flat, so we're not expecting this to do anything. Anywhere in here, you get a try. If this pull back to here and then you buy, break the top, put it into profit, and you might even look to take profit. So I like this buy. Right, we're still going up, and we still have more to go. New Zealand, okay, this was the buy. That was an old one that closed. It dropped. This did exactly what we expected to. We put it here for the running flat, which is 1. This is a big expanding flat in the middle. We thought about that, said it could do that. It could come here and then it's going to go back up. Right? It also went a little lower than where we expected to go. So that's okay. Right? We're not magicians. We're forecasters, right? We forecast the down move and we forecast the up move, not the exact spot where it's going to stop. Well, it did. Any buy setup here would be good. Wait for a buy setup, let it pull back like, and then take the trade to break the top. So I'll put this as a buy setup too, which means you want it to pull back first. Let me go back to the 15. Getting in at the top there is not a good idea. Getting right to the top of that sideways move, not a good idea. Let it pull back to some, I don't know, kind of let this whole thing finish and let it pull back like this, make something like this, and then you go with the trade. Right? Because if you can take it here now, but there's a chance it's going to crawl up for a long time. And it could pull back then go. So if you get it pull back first, then take the trade. That'd be perfect. Now, if you're very aggressive and you said, well, I don't know if it's going to pull back, then put an entry, especially this piece. Let this piece just come at least to this level for that small flat. And then put an entry above the top, assuming that this could still happen when they go there. Right? It could still do this and then go. So keep your stop under the low. And you manage the trades. All right, until we break the top. That's when you have to move into positive. So we'll assume this is going to pull back and you put an entry right above the top there. Right? And then we'll go to trade. CAD, nothing new. Did exactly what we expected, which was this one here. And you were only supposed to put this entry if this continued to fall. If that stopped falling, you pull that entry order, right? This entry order is not valid for that point. But what if it's making a bigger flat here? I know if we're making some kind of a bigger flat there. It's coming down really slow. Let it go back up, make a flat like this, and then go for the sell. All right, so I'll take this off now. We don't want that sellers yet. We still want the sell. But you want it to go sharp. You don't want after a big flat like this. Here's the thing. We had 2 flats. You drop, you made that big one. That one is almost inside of this. You drop again, you make this one, which is almost inside of this, and then they're going down very slow. I think just give it some time. Let it actually turn maybe. Make a deeper correction, then we go with it. See? It's coming down. We know it can go down quite a lot. I just don't know why it's going down so slow. And that's putting me on the side of caution. So here's what's going to happen. If this pulls back to this level to make this flat, we'll take this entry order to the downside and see how far it goes. If it keeps going slow, you're going to get breaky. If it goes fast, well, good for you. So we'll put it as a sell setup in the making. Swiss, you should have taken out this one and put it exactly at this piece. That's where you should have put it, right? Because when it starts to drop, and this one is doing a little different, I will take out this, I'll put back this where we had it here. And this is making a channel. This is literally making a channel here. You got a drop, you got an up move, you get a drop, you get an up move, and you're dropping again. Just about here. And then there's a good chance you might get another up move, which could break out because this doesn't hold as a running flat as such. It looks more like a channel. So we're breaking this low, and that means that anytime we can expect this to go up. So two things right now in the big picture, just to remind everybody, the big picture. There is a very big flat at the top here. Every time we see a flat like that, we think 1, 2, 3, go back up one more. Maybe then come down here still. Or we think 1, 2, and this comes back all the way to the bottom here. Now it's rare that this flat here goes back to the top there. See when they made this one? It didn't go back to the top there. When you make this one, it didn't go back to the top. This one went back to the top, see? So if we had a flat like this or a flat like this, yeah, those are downside. But because it's at a very, very top of the correction, we are very cautioned that it could still go one more. Now, in reality, we do have 1, 2, 3, so I'm not expecting them to go back up, right? But it's not dropping the way we expect it to drop to, which is really, really fast. So if you go on your 4-hour, you can see that you probably have divergence between all of these, all of this here, and this. Right, that's very strong sign that they can go back up. On the hourly, you're looking internally here and you have divergence. See, you also have internal divergence at the bottom. Now, should we sell it to the bottom there if we have all of that? I think it's worth selling because you can get break even. So if you took this trade here, this was the first one, you would have closed that trade and you put an entry order under the low. You should have closed that trade and put an entry order here now. So you could put an entry order there. Again, if they do the same thing, put a stop here. If they tag you here and start doing the same thing, well, just put it to break even and leave it. Take the break even, wait for a reversal, wait for a flag, and buy. What if it reverses really fast? In case of a news event, well, we know what to do in that case, right? We'll trade that in the news event when that comes. There could still be a drop here. So the trade is still worth taking. Put it as a sell, we put it as a sell, and we manage that trade. Don't put it, let it tag you, put it here. So it's not tagging you as yet. Because you already have that spot where it already reached there, go back up. So keep it under the price. Yen. I would expect this to go back up. You could have sold this. See? 1, 1, 2, 3. Knowing yen likes to make running flat, I would assume this is going to go back here, then drop. But if it's a long drawn out running flat, then you're going to do more than this. If you took this trade, you close it, put an entry here. Now, always remember this is coming. So put a stop here. This would have been the best trade if anyone would have did that in the Asian session, right? That would have been a great trade. You would have pulled profit out, put an entry under the low, and let's see what happens. This might be another small flag that drop. It could make a few drops before you get the next sharp move up. Remember, any sell you're taking, and a sell setup like that is a good one to take. It could be a long drawn out running flat. This is the one you have to be cautious with, because this might just tag you and then do this and then go, right? So you keep a stop there. Of course, if it tags you, try to get the hell out of the trade. You're not going to live with it to go back there. Right? The idea is not to take it and then watch it go back. The idea is to take it and watch it drop. And if it doesn't drop here now, well, we don't know. We might get this still way in the future. So let's see. You can manage that trade as well. We'll put it as sell. Euro yen. If you took the sell, it would have been somewhere under this one here, because that is a sharp one. I'll assume they're doing this. I think this is gone. Should we still sell it? The same question we have here, like we had in whichever the one that had that move, like Swiss, way back to the top. Right, so we do have a big flat here, and the question is that big flat for total downside, or is that big flat for 1, 2, 3, and then go back up? If you think it is a 1, 2, 3, go back up, then don't sell this. Wait until you get a deeper correction before you sell. Especially now would not be a good sell point because you have this here, just like the dollar yen. Let it pull back and then look for the sell. Pound yen, definitely. Probably sell it a little higher. We're coming to break this low. So that entry order, if you took it, it's good. Will you still stay with it? No, you probably took break even. You could put an entry order under this low. You should have taken break and put an entry order there and manage the trade when it comes to this level. I remember there's a high probability of this going back up. We're looking at it this way: 1, 2, 3, and then go back up like that. If we're wrong, then this is 1, 2, 3, and then this drops. It's hard to see this one being an equivalent of that, right? Kind of 1, 2, 3. Sorry, the equivalent of this, because this is really short, and this one has a lot of correction, which means I think they're coming here and then going back up. So this trade you have to be very cautious with. All the yen pairs, we sold them very nice last week, but this week, if you're taking them, you got to be really, really cautious because they all have, except for the dollar yen, the possibility of coming here and going right back up there. Aussie yen, we did this last week already. Aussie yen dropped. If you sold it, well done. Where we think this is going to go? Well, it can make it a series of, I'm going to take this out. There's a series of things that can happen here, right? There's a lot of things that could happen at this point, depending on how you look at this up move. Either this is an impulse, that's a correction, this is an impulse, and this is coming to break the low, which I think we're going to do because we broke this low already. No, we didn't. So I think we can break that low and then go back up. That would be a big correction in the middle there, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if this comes here, breaks this low, and then go back up. We'll probably go with this as some kind of a flat. Makes sense? All looks upside. So let's see. Should we sell this? Well, if you sold it already, you want to close it here, and you can put an entry under the low. Again, you're going to repeat the same thing. Put an entry there. Same here, you took break even, you re-entered there, you close the trade for positive. Should we put an entry here now? That's a problem. Should we take this one? No, don't take this. This could literally go back up from here. Wait for it to break this low and make a flag. So it has to break through the low, make a consolidation here, and then we sell. Otherwise, to that, this is likely going back up. Stay away from this right now. We're actually, let's look for buy setups. Wait for it to turn, give you an impulse, give you a flag buy. So maybe all the yen pairs would be buy setup. Start Euro yen, Pound yen, Aussie yen, New Zealand yen. Swiss yen might be the same thing. Literally, it's the same thing, which means you expect this to come here and then probably go back up. So if you're in the sell in this one, let's see. Well, that depends on whether you closed it here and whether you took it from this point or you took it from this point, right? So let's assume you close it. If you did, don't sell it back. Leave it. It's too close to the point to where it can go back. It needs to break this low. If you want to go for that small trade, assume you can, if it drop further, then it makes sense. So maybe this one hasn't broken the low. You can take this one. Let's see, Cadino, we have. Perfect sell setup. Couldn't ask for a better one. You got a flag here. We actually put it under the low, but remember, you got a flag here. So it's the same thing. You sell the flag, it dropped. You want to close your trade in here, somewhere there. Put an entry. Let's see if we do. Let's see if we can put an entry in there. I think we can put an entry because we're expecting it to come a little lower, right? Not necessarily. This can go up from here, and that would be a perfect running flat for upside. All the yen pairs have a short-term upside. It's not necessarily yen that will make that. We know yen has a small spike up, but not necessarily the yen that could give you that big move up. It might be the other pairs. If yen correct upwards, and then we have Euro, Pound, New Zealand, Aussie going up, CAD, Swiss falling, you're going to get a really big move up here. So the yen moves this much and the rest of them are going to move it that much. So keep your eyes for this buys as well. If you want to sell this here, let's see. This can sell. If you sold that, take profit. We can sell this and then we can put an entry order here for the sell. It probably would drop one more before it goes. So yeah, sell here is possible. And I'll put it as a very aggressive sell. Any sell you take in the yen, you're taking them as very aggressive sell. EuroCAD. Okay, looks downside because we had this move. You kind of won, pull back, you go there, you come here, you pull back. Looks like you're going to drop again. So we can sell this and see what happens. I think we might end up with this being the bigger flat. This piece here. 1, 2, 3. That will leave us with 1, 2, 3, which means you're looking for 1, 2, 3. And we'd have to go back up and come back down because you have 1, 2 here, right? So you have to go back up, come back down. Okay, let's go into 4 hours, see what that would do. Yeah, we're still in the correction. So I wouldn't be surprised if this comes here, go back up, come back here, and then go for this. Let's see where we are in the 1 hour. We kind of have a sell set up. You can make an argument for that. You're breaking out of this. So an entry order for a sell here is not a bad idea. Under the last impulse, which is here. That's not a bad idea. You want this to come back here, break this low, put it to break even. So if this is a 1, 2, 3 for upside, you're going to get break even. We're going to buy the trade from this point. If it's going to drop back to the low, I think that's a good trade. That makes sense. So let's see. You can put a sell here. Euro Swiss. That was an old sell. Let me take out these cells. Let's take all of this out. This is an old sell. Worst case is you got break even. If you're lucky, you got some profit. So take that out. We broke the low. We're going back up. Where would this take us? Let's see big picture. Well, I'm not sure how high this is going to go, but we're making a flat here. You can see that, right? We're definitely making a flat there. So this should go up one more at least, and then we'll see how high that goes. So go back to we're only 1 hour. Go back to the 15. I want to see the internals of this. It's more like that. But I really wouldn't buy it right here. I think let's just take this off. Take that off. And put this for this buy above the top. I wouldn't take it in here. This one is a little sharp. See? This piece here is a little sharp. So let them come back down. And if they come back down, we put the entry order above this one. But if they don't, put the entry order there. And let's see where this takes us. We do have divergence. We broke the low. We make a sharp impulse. We make consolidation. Worst case scenario is you probably get it like this and then come back. Or you continue to go. I hope they continue to go. So this would be a buy. Euros. Okay, so we had 1, 2, 3. We put an entry order here. The entry order should have been from here. That was last week. The entry order should have been somewhere here, right? I think we can make an assumption now that maybe we have either a bigger correction here or we use this as the bigger running flat. That was what we were looking at last week, right? Those two options. And that is why we put the entry order here, that if this drops suddenly, you want to trade. It didn't drop suddenly. But it was the last, actually, the last impulse was here. That's where it should go, right? This was the flat. You got there, got there, this one, and then you make a top. So if you put it there, well done. If you didn't put it there, should we put it here? Nope, wait for a flag. Because if they're going to go back up, that's where they're going to go back up from, right? If this is making a flat here for upside, this is exactly where it goes back up from. So to sell this now, you have to wait for a flag. Wait for a flag here and you can sell. Let's put it this way. I still think it's downside. We still have to break some lows, I think. We have to break this low. So it's still a sell. We're going now very nice. Wait for a flag and sell. So I'm just going to put this as a flag. Wait for a flag, sell. Put back on the 1 hour. Any flag you get now, and you need a flag here before you sell. What if it starts to go back up? What if you literally see this start going back up like that? Well, then you pull this like this and put an entry here for a buy. But it has to go back up really fast like this, and then we're hoping we're going to have another impulse like that. See? So it will just be another impulse up. It will be a buy in that case. Right now, it makes a flag, it's a sell. Euro New Zealand. If we assume this is the running flat, it's coming down really, really, really slow. Do we have a sell setup? Let's go to 15. I really don't like this. You had a flat there, kind of come back down, go back, come here, go back. It's just leave it alone. I don't think it's upside. We don't have a buy setup, but we don't have any selling it as well. It's coming down too slow and you're not getting any good place where you want to put an entry, a good flag or something. That's Euro New Zealand. That's good. Euro pound. Perfect. If you took the buy, I hope you got worst case break in, but I hope you got some profit there, right? You closed it there for some profit. That is this one up. It dropped and you're getting another flag. So take this out, right? We dropped and we're making kind of another flat here. See? Here's the problem with this. You have a big flat in the middle here, which is going up. If it comes back down, if it gets to the top there and then come back down like this, that becomes a flat for upside. See? So it all depends on where this thing drops from before we decide if we want to buy or sell. If it drops from this level, right? If this just tip that level drop, that's a sell setup here. If it goes higher here and then drop, that's a buy setup, either from a flag up or from this level. So I'll put both sides available, and where we are from the bottom, the buy is the better idea, right? From where you are here, that buy is a better idea, even if it's just a correction back to the top. Even if this actually just, just go there and come here and start correcting back to the top like this. The buy is a better idea. We don't have the setup for the buyers yet. So I'm going to put it both ways and then you manage whichever comes. Pause. We didn't do anything last week and I don't think we'll do anything this week. That's the right thing. We did stay away from it because it's still a channel or a flag or something like it's more of a channel than we're thinking about a running flag, but I think it's more of a channel. You're kind of in the channel there. That doesn't give you any direction. Take this out. Here's what we're going to do. If it is falling, it needs to break through the channel. You can put an entry over here if you want. That's an aggressive sell. I wouldn't do that because we already have a consolidation in here. We normally do that when it drops through the bottom. All right, but we already have a consolidation. So can this go back up from here? Yeah, I think it's possible. You can make an argument for this flat here that it's going to go back up. At least retest the top again. Right? And then you can put an entry over here if it drops suddenly. If it comes down, make a flag. Well, you consider whether you want to sell that to the bottom and hope that breaks out. So what's the trade right now? Again, it looks like both ways possible. Right? I think this really looks like both ways possible because of this flat in the middle here, because of this bigger flat in the middle here that we have. Right? So if it goes back up, make a flag, we can buy. If it goes back up, make a flag, you can buy that. Back to the top. If it drops through the bottom, break this low and make a flag, we sell. Like most Europe, like most of the pound pairs with it, we also have both sides. Pound cat. I think this one is clear. This one is absolutely one side. Because you have a big flat running flat here, and you can go with only one side up, right? So let's see. Let's put an entry over here for a buy. I think we can get a little aggressive. Take this as a separate one. I don't like the fact that we're making too many flats here, but you can do that and put an entry over here. Watch it when it breaks the stop because we're kind of channeling here. See this flat here? This has a flat. We kind of go up, make a next flat, go up, probably make another flat, go up. Where they're heading that way, I don't know. We can assume that we already have a running flat. Big picture is upside. Back to this level. So yeah, they can go some more. I think we might pull this as the running flat eventually. I wouldn't put it as yet, but there's a possibility we could go with this as the running flat. Because we had this correction here, right? Remember this correction here that we thought would make a running flat with this one. And then they make another correction there, and then they kind of make another one here, and then you go up, and let's see if this goes to the top or it just goes, pull back, and then go. We don't know. I like it though. I like the buy setup. So we put a buy. You can actually put the entry order in under 15. Just above the last impulse. Pound New Zealand. This one doesn't have any sense of direction. It should go up eventually. You have a sell setup here. I wouldn't sell it. Not as yet. See, we're going up sharply and then we kind of consolidate here. I think this consolidation will go on for a while. So either this stays in here much longer and then come here, go back there, come here, and then go, making a flat like this. Or, I don't know, this one is too sharp to be the correction. So we'll have to wait and see how complex this gets. I'm not selling it. And we don't have a buy setup. Pound Swiss. So that was a sell. It didn't go very far. You might be getting another sell setup here. And I don't know whether this is going to go very far. Take that out, put this, I want to take this out. Put it there, put it in the 15, you can see. So this one you sold, you got break even. It kind of dropped, you're getting this. I don't like the idea. We don't know if you want to sell it here or sell it here. Either looks really skeptical. It's not going very far. It might break this low, so you can go with that trade. Let's go with a sell. Go for a short-term trade, but manage it, right? Because I think we should break this low and then go back up if anything, right? Break that low because you already had this consolidation here. So let's see. Put it in a big picture what it looks like. Okay, we still haven't got that sharp one. So even if you're going to make that sharp one, it needs to break this low and then go back up there, make this, and then drop. So there is a very short-term trade at the bottom there right now. Let's see if we can get it. This broke the top, so you can put it under the low here. It's in the 15. It's not dropping aggressively. That's a problem. It's coming down really slow, but leave it there for the sell. Let's see. Aussie cat. You're going up. We've got a very, very sharp pullback and nothing to go with it. You're getting your consolidation in here, so go back to the 15. You probably want this to come back here. Make a flat. Go for this, then come back and then go, right? So the big flat would look like this. Come here, complete this one. Go back up, come back here and then go. If it comes there, you can consider if you want that one for running flat. So I'll say just leave it for now. If they drop from here all the way to the bottom here, then we'll look for the buy setup. Aussie, New Zealand. You can sell it if you want. Perfect sell setup. If you want. If it goes up, not your problem. So you can put a sell here, sorry. In the Aussie Swiss. A little more down. We're still looking at this flat here as the flat, right? Which means this might come a little more down than up. Or is it already going up? Not as yet. We don't have a buy setup. So I'll say let's leave it alone. And the 15, even you'd find you don't have a buy setup. You might get a buy setup if this actually comes back here and then go. Leave it alone. Let it go up a little higher and make a flag, and then we'll buy. New Zealand cat. Okay, so what's the big picture here? Still upside? We did break that top, but it seems like they're still in the consolidation. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Or this could be a separate, bigger flat of its own. It's not fitting in this one as yet. And when it becomes more complex, we're going to figure it out, right? When we get it to be more complex, I think it might be part of this piece here making a bigger flat here. We do have a buy setup, but again, it's inside of that sharp impulse. You want this to come back here, make a flat, and see if you want to go for that trade. And then the downside. So if you get a flag here, then it's worth buying it for the top. If you don't get a flag, it's not worth buying. So let's wait, stay away from this. New Zealand Swiss. These were the cells, the two cells that were perfect, came exactly to where we wanted to go. And now it's going back up. Nothing new. That's exactly what we expect to happen, right? So it all depends on how you look at this. You can look at this as 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, which means we're going to have this up and we're going to have one more down before they go. If we're right about that. If we're wrong about that, any low now could go up totally, right? You really look at this whole thing, I don't know. This one and this one is too sharp for me to look at it any other way. So we're going to assume that we're going to go up and come back down. These two cells were perfect, take them off. We're looking for a buy back to the top. We don't have a buy setup. See, we've got a sharp move, but we haven't got anything to match it. We haven't got anything to match this. So I want this to come back here, make a flat. And then we wait for a flag here, or we put an entry here for the upside. Remember, when they get to the top, they can go right back down. So it's going to be a short trade. Sorry, back to this top. Come here and then take the trade back to that top. Let's see if they come back down or if they break out. Cat Swiss, sorry. I think Cat Swiss has the same structure. Right? Same, a lot of these Swiss pairs have that structure. See, this structure. So let's see Aussie Swiss. Well, this one is a little complicated, but very similar. It has a flat here for upside. So I think we could pay attention to all the Swiss pairs today in the trading room and see what happens. Yeah, this looks like you either look at this as a flat here and assume that this is going to break the low and then go back up, which is possible. I don't see any other way. Or this one comes here, go here, come back here, and then go back up. So we're waiting for a buy setup. Ignore the sell. We're waiting for a buy setup. We don't have a trade as yet. Natural gas. Good sell, close, re-enter. Right, depending on where you got tagged, where you close the trade, you would have closed a break even here. If you re-enter there and you got tagged, perfect, close, put a re-enter here. If this goes up, no problem. We're still going down. US oil, okay, take that out. They went up. We're looking for if this flag here would drop, it made a new high. But now it's making more sense on the trade. So you can make an argument of whether this here is a bigger running flat now. If this was the running flat, then that high means this is going to drop, right? At least one more to break this low and then go back up. What would be the trade? Well, you're getting a flag here, go for the sell. And if they tag you and go back up, you have to get out really quick, right? So the hope is that this doesn't tag you here and then go right back up. In that case, you have to get out for break even, you have to manage the trade. So if you take the trade here, put a stop here. Right? You can reduce your risk in that one and see whether it drops to the bottom. But there's a flag there to trade. There's a flag here to trade, right? You can see there's a flag there. That's the flag we're trading. You can put this like that. If you want to put it under the last impulse, that's perfect. UK oil. We took the buy in the UK oil, assuming they're going to retest the top. So that would have probably given you a break even. It didn't retest the top. It came back down. And I don't think we actually have a low here. I would let this go back up first. Let this go back up to here and then consider if we want to sell. I let it go back up and consider if we want to sell, because the sell might be a good idea. But I think we have a good sell here. Let it go back up first and then you can go with the sell. S&P 500, both trades were good. This one was good, that one was good. Depending on where you take out this one, either at the top or the bottom, you're doing well. Wait for another setup. We don't have another setup as yet. If this goes all the way to the top and then come back here, we get a buy setup. If it starts to drop from there, you probably have a sell setup. I think most likely we're expecting it to come back to the top here. All the way to the top. Where the hell is that top? Okay, I don't know what happened to the trend line. I'll put one more here. We're coming back to that top, which means at any time this thing could either drop or break through. We don't have a buy setup now. We also don't have a sell setup, unless you want to put an entry here for a sell. So we wait. You do have a buy setup here. Yeah, that's like a flag. You can put an entry order for a buy there. Let's assume that this one was break even. You got a buy setup now. But this is buy. This one kind of had it, but not a good setup. So unless you get a flag here, then we go for the buy. But if this drops here and make a flag, we're definitely selling. So you have to wait. We don't have anything. DAX. If it makes a flag buy, Nifty, perfect trade. Wait for another flag like this or this and then buy again. Bitcoin, it might come back down. We spoke about that, right? You're getting a sell setup here, and the chances are they can drop and break the low. I believe they'll break the low. So if you were in any of these buys, or if you took this buy, right, put that to break even, put an entry order to sell here. Because if this drops through the bottom, I think that's a good one. We'll start to buy from the bottom coming. Now this looks very much like a sell setup. Very, very much like a good sell setup. So I wouldn't be surprised if they drop. And same for Ethereum. Oh, actually, this has a buy setup. Strangely, now this is a big flat. This is a big flat. They're making another one here. This looks like a buy. When it comes there, that looks like a buy. So if you want to put an entry order above the top for a buy, perfect. If it's going to drop, you don't have a sell setup. OMG. This one came really, really low to the bottom. I don't know why this should take off, but it's consolidating at the top here. It's kind of consolidating here. So if you want to put an entry above the top, give it a try. If you're already in the trade, just move your stops. Some of them you should already be in. You move your stops or your entry order to sell, which means to close the trade you're in. Same here, get this at break even. If you put this one, you already have break even. You already took break even. It's coming down. I don't think we want to sell. We're not sure about that. So we'll wait and see what it's doing. We don't have any buy setups. LTC. Perfect. If you close or break even, put this entry over here. So it all depends on what this does. Does it work its way down here and then go back up? Or does it drop? I don't know which one it's going to do. We'll decide what to do with the trade when you're done with one of those two. Dodge. Came to the top, take this off. And we could come back to the bottom. If you want to put a buy above there. Let's see, either this breaks out or it comes back to the bottom here and we get this. We'll see. We don't have a good trade setup there. You can put the buy where it is. Idea. We broke up, but we never broke the low of this bigger structure. Or we never broke that low. So I wouldn't be surprised if this actually comes back here, break the low, and then go. It's really slow to the downside. I don't see any. For the buy setup, can we put an entry to buy? You can, it wouldn't affect you, but it's not going anywhere. But an entry above the stop to buy. Link, definitely a buy setup. Even if it drops, you can put an entry order here to buy. I do think it will drop. I do think this one is going to drop and then go. We'll allow it to drop and then look for the buy setup. MP. Let this break the low, then we look for the buy. There might be a buy setup forming here, but I'll prefer we break the low. You can put an entry order here. And if it just tags you and go slowly close the trade, I prefer to break the low first and then we start buying. And this would be the same. All right, I wouldn't be surprised if this actually just comes down and break the low and then go back up. It could be more complex than that, but I think that's a possibility. So keep your eyes on all the crypto. By the end of this week, next week, we might get very good trades in them, especially if they all go break the low. That'd be amazing. Okay, guys, thank you for your time. Thank you for being here.